Good day, everyone. Welcome to EarthGyan. My name is Shayan Shortcut and I write on earthgan.com. This is post number 495. And in this article, we have discussed whether retirees who already have a pension available to them, do they still need to invest in equity mutual funds? So, here the premise is that pensions are typically static, they don't increase with inflation. There would be some pensions, like for example, central government pensions that have pay commission increments, or there could be other pensions, like for example, some LIC plans, they have a small 3% increment with them. But most of these pensions are typically static, they don't increase with time, and therefore they need some level of inflation adjustment. Um, why we are looking at inflation adjustment, very basic concept that price of stuff increase with time. And let's say if somebody has a 50,000 rupees per month pension, and after 10 years with even basic 7% inflation, that 50,000, whatever you can buy with 50,000 rupees 10 years back would cost you a lakh today, and in 20 years 2 lakhs, and so on. That's how costs increase. So that is why we need an inflation adjustment for the portfolio. To handle this calculation, we are basically saying that if you already have a pension, you need to invest additional money into other assets. So we'll take FD as the baseline and see that how much do we need to invest in FD to last, let's say, 30 year, 40 year, or 35-year retirement. And if there's no that much amount of corpus is not available for FD investment, then we'll obviously go into equity mutual funds and debt mutual funds as the alternatives. So what we'll do here is that here is the premise that we will take an example where we have 6 lakh rupees a year, that's 50,000 rupees a month in pension coming in fixed pension, and the starting expenses in retirement is 9 lakh rupees a year, that's 75,000 rupees a month. So our total expenses would increase with inflation like this 9 lakh, 9.63 lakh. So this is a 7% inflation. The pension remains constant, so the rest, the 3 lakhs, 3.3 lakhs, 4.3 lakhs, and so on and so forth, that has to come from the portfolio. So what we have done here is we have used the Earthcan gold-based investing calculator. I've provided a link to the calculator in this article. The article is linked to the description section of the video. So if you click this get the sheet button, it will give you access to the calculator. Now this calculator is very straightforward to use. What I have done here is I've set up the model. I have put the pension here. Like I said, I have put the pension of 6 lakhs for 30 years with no increment, right? And I have put small amount of total expense I've assumed, like I said, 9 lakhs. So 9 lakhs is set up here. I have assumed that the person already has an asset of 2 crores, and this is currently being held in cash. It doesn't matter what it is held in right now. We're looking at the final target portfolio and asset allocation. So we'll just, for simplicity, we assumed cash. And here what we have done is we've made some basic assumptions about equity and debt returns. 11%, 4% is post-tax, and retirement starts after 1 year. So that's the assumption. So what we have done, we will do now is this is the base case where we will look at the FD case. So now to handle it in FD, what we'll simply do is we'll remove equity altogether and assume the same return as debt. So that means that there's no other asset class. We have only debt as the asset class, and that will FD will assume the same 4% return, and we will model the portfolio. If I this is all set up, so I'm going to hit calculate and let it calculate for a second, and then we'll get the results. So it will tell us exactly how much we need over time to invest in this. Okay, 3.44 CR. So this is the total that we need. We already have 2 crores. We need an additional 1.44 crores for this. So in FD, we need to invest 3.44 crores for 30 years for inflation adjustment. Now let's look at the other case where we have investing instead of FD in a mixture of debt and equity mutual funds. So if you remember the 3.44 figure, I'll just change this back to equity and I'll hit recalculate again. This will take a few seconds to recalculate. Remember this 1.2 lakhs of SIP. So this is where that 1.2 lakh. So this is, sorry, that was 12 lakhs and this is now recalculated to 3 lakhs. So the gap is now lower. So it's a 3.44. We need only 2.38. So that's the gap due to not investing in FD. So I've Given the same example here, so if you see 3.44 was the requirement if you invest only in FD, and that drops to 2.38 if you don't invest in FD, instead if you take a little more additional risk and go for equity and debt mutual funds. And this is the result. This was for 30 years, and I have calculated that for 35 and 40 as well. Right. So this is the basically what we are saying is that if you take an additional amount of risk, there's a possibility, and obviously there's no guarantee in case of mutual funds, that your corpus can be a slightly lesser and last the same amount of time. So this calculator will help you calculate that. And of course, if you need to make fine tuning and use different numbers, you can do consultation by pressing this button, and I'll help you getting that set up with this particular tool. I have few risk assumptions that FDs are not available beyond 10 years, FDs are taxable slab and all that. And of course, every day it would reduce in the future as the country develops. So those are the other things that we need to keep in mind if you really want to choose FD as a valid option for investment for retirement. So this is the basic thing. I'll just quickly show you the same result for inflation index pension. So I'll put in a small 5% hike. So let's go back and start with the same case. We'll take the FD case again. So let's see where we end up. If you remember, the previous number was 3.44 and 2.38. So we'll just see where we end up with that inflation adjusted pension. So this is with FD, we need 2.6 CR. So if you see, that's a fairly big jump. And I have a distinct feeling that with equity, the number will be even lower. If we just assume a smaller asset base, hmm, just for the just a second, and yeah, we'll probably need a lower figure. We'll get a lower figure here as well. So the gap between the only FD case and the equity case would be now lower instead of whatever it was earlier. So yeah, so 1.83. So it has considerably lowered, right? But still there's a gap, quite a good amount of gap between FD and funds, those two options. But inflation adjusted pension do help, which is one of the selling points, and I've not mentioned this in the article, is that between UPS and MPS, the unified pension scheme that is getting launched from next year. So if you have access to that, that's probably something that you can look at. So overall, this is the premise of the article. If you are having pension, whether it is inflation indexed or not, you still need to take a little higher risk if you want to avoid risk completely in your retirement. If you can't avoid that risk, and if your purpose is slightly lower, then you have to take higher risk by investing in equity and debt mutual funds. Thank you all, and I'll see you all of you in the next video. Thank you.